Hello there, Brett Sheldon here from Your Business World, and welcome to another networking review. Now, before you say anything, yes, I am wearing the same t-shirt as what was in the last video because I'm creating the video directly after that one, because this event was attended on the same day as the speed networking from Find a Biz. But the event I'm actually reviewing now was a netwalking event hosted by Jo Plimmer. So I'm going to cut to me and give you some details about that event. Okay, so this event, netwalking, completely new for me. So netwalking is an event where people turn up and basically go for a walk and have a chat. It was hosted by Jo Plimmer, and this one was held on the 5th of July at 11:30, directly after the Find a Biz Speed Netwalking. Now, I know that this event moves around depending on where they're going for a walk, but the starting point for this one was from the Tile Press Cafe in Jackfield near Ironbridge in Shropshire, and I heard about it directly from Jo. Jo's one of our members. We were talking about different things, and she knows I'm doing a lot of walking at the moment, so Jo mentioned this to me. So I'm really intrigued about this because I've never been to a netwalking event before. So basically, let's go along and find out what this is all about. So let's cut to the format of this event. Well, to describe the format of this sounds really weird, but basically a group of people turn up and go for a walk. And Jo took a guided route around Ironbridge, or parts of Ironbridge, and through some forests. I had no idea where I was going. I just followed Jo. And basically you go for this walk, and while you go for a walk, you chat to people. There's nothing more to it than that. At the end, we all met back at the Tile Press Cafe, and we had a cuppa, or for those who wanted to stay and have a cuppa, they did. I had a cuppa, and I know. Did I have some to eat? No, I didn't. No, I just had a cup of tea. I was on my diet, and yeah, basically that is the format of the event. Nothing more, nothing less. Best of all, it was free to attend. So who was there? Well, there was 11 people in total, 8 women, 3 men, and the business types were generally what I would call lifestyle businesses, very small businesses. There was a lady who worked for a legal firm, and there was a guy there who had about 20 staff in his business, but in general there were more lifestyle type businesses. So what did I think of this event? Well, I was really intrigued to see how this would work, because when we've had training walks or the walks of Snowdon as part of Your Business World, it's been brilliant to see how the conversations between people change. So, like I say, being in the cheap seats for this one, I was really interested to see how it would work. And to be fair, I had a very pleasant time. I only spoke to 3 people while I was on the walk, and that's probably a challenge for this kind of style of event. Because when you're walking and talking, you're only going to talk to one person. And because you're going to be almost in single file in some places. But the conversations tend to be longer. So in terms of what did I think about the event, I really enjoyed it. From a wellness perspective about getting out of the office, still working while I'm actually not in front of the screen like I am now, that was brilliant. From a networking perspective, don't know. Didn't develop as many good connections as I would hope, but this was an isolated thing. So it was one of those. So I'm a little bit on the fence in terms of that, but like I say, well run by Jo. It was nice to get out of the office and go for a walk through the woods and along around parts of Ironbridge. But like I say, networking, bit on the fence. So tips for this event. Okay, so like I've normally done, I've actually written these down. So the first tip I do is actually have something to talk about. More than any elevator pitch, you're not going to do elevator pitches on this at all. You're just going to be all, hi, who are you, what do you do? So just tell them straight. Don't waffle on and don't do all the cheesy stuff. So have stuff to talk about. Be prepared to talk about you, perhaps your family, the story of your business, how you're helping people. You've got to be prepared to have conversations for 10, 15 minutes while you're walking people, but also be prepared to ask the person you're walking alongside to basically more about them and their businesses and their story. So go into depth. So be prepared to go into depth. So the next tip is you're not going to leave lots and lots of business cards on this. So leave them in your bag, leave them in the car, because as you're talking and walking, it's not really the kind of thing where you're going to be passing business cards as you go. So just be prepared for that. It might throw some people off because that's not something, it's not normal protocol for a networking event, is it? And the other one, and this sounds like common sense, be prepared for a walk. So look at the weather forecast, take appropriate footwear. I personally went in walking boots because I had no idea where we're going to be going. I knew there might be a little bit of elevation because Iron Bridge obviously steep sides either side. Look at the weather forecast, for Christ's sake. Come on, this is Britain at this moment in time, how the weather is. We're going from bright sunshine as it is precisely now, or from when I started this video it was that bad I couldn't control the actual lighting. So it's Britain. Be prepared. And the last tip for this is be prepared to take up the rear. So in terms of Joe will need to lead the walk, so you need somebody at the back, but also if somebody's struggling, it's a great way to get into conversation, great icebreakers. So like I say, be prepared to take up the rear. Okay, so when are Joe's next netwalking events? So Joe does two types of walks, more of a wellness walk and a netwalking event. So that's more the networking type ones. I'm going to put them on screen and also in the comments because there's a number of them coming up. There is one today in Iron Bridge. Today, the day of recording this is Friday the 28th. I'm actually going to that later. And there's 3 in August. You've got one on the, sorry for looking down, but we've got the 7th of August, which is the netwalking one. There is one on Friday the 18th, which is climbing up the Reiki, which is the place. If you ever watch me on Facebook or anything, that's the one I go up every week. That's on Friday the 18th, and there is also one on Tuesday the 29th, which is another one around Iron Bridge. But like I say, I'll put links in the description, and I'll also put links as well to Joe's LinkedIn profile, so you can reach out if you're interested in these events. So the big question is, would I go to this event again? Now, this is going to be a little bit different, perhaps a little bit controversial. So I want to look at it first of all from a networking perspective. So there's a big challenge with this event. Yes, it was great to go out, it was very well run, lovely walk, etc. But I like to plan my networking. So I like to plan a couple of weeks, perhaps a month in advance of where I'm going to be. And it's a very good tip for you to do that if you're new to networking. Plan in advance because you need to get these things in your diary. And the challenge with this is the British weather. If it rains, this event will either get cancelled or just be decimated with numbers. So therefore, from a networking potential, it's going to be tough to do so. Also, the nature of the actual walk itself, because you're going to be walking in single file or side by side, you're not going to speak to many people. It's not like going to an event. The rule of thumb whenever I go to an event is you're probably going to speak to about 10 to 12 people in 2 hours. That's all you're going to speak to. On this, it's going to be a lot less because of the nature of it. But you will have better context with that. So if I was to score this out of 5, as I do with everything else, I would only give it 2.5 out of 5. I wouldn't put it as my main networking in my diary because of the potential for cancellation. If you're only going to 2 or 3 events a month, and this is one of them, that could take out 50% of your entire networking because of the good old British weather. So 2.5%, Joe, please don't be disappointed with that. Because if you look at this from a wellness perspective, which I know is what Joe's more interested in, this was great. I loved it. I love getting out there, talking to some strangers, going for a walk, going to places I've not been before. I love bringing a little bit of exercise into the workplace and getting out and about as well. That was brilliant. Now I'd score this once again because of the potential for weather, a good 4 out of 5. And would I go again? Yes, because I'm actually taking my wife there tonight. So I'm actually fetching my wife, who's a nurse, for at 5:30 from work. I'm grabbing her, she's getting changed before, and we're darting over to Iron Bridge to go on a wellness walk. So would I go again? Absolutely. Joe, you did a fantastic job. I think from the networking side, there's some things you could probably do to make it more networking-y and people speak to more people, but that takes practice. I know you're relatively new to this, but brilliant job. I loved it. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. Probably a little bit of controversy at the end, but Jo, you've done a fantastic job. If you're liking these style of reviews, please do us a favour and subscribe and click the bell icon. Upcoming videos we've got planned for you, we're going to be doing a little bit more online networking. So if that's a bit more of your persuasion, please keep an eye out for those. And like I say, enjoy your networking. Oh, forgot to say, up above, like I normally do, is put a link to one of the other reviews. I'm going to put a link here to I'm going to put a link in to the speed networking event I went to literally half an hour before I went on Jo's walk. So thank you very much for watching and have fun networking.